To manual or not to manual? That is the question. Hello everybody, I'm Roadblock, and this is the Raid Shadow Legends video. I tried something new. I don't know how well that's going to come across on camera, but I liked my little intro there, so that's why I'm laughing. Okay, but yeah, I really wanted to kind of touch on this a little bit. It seems like such a weird topic for a video, right? Kind of like, you know, should I manual? Should I auto battle? Like, how, you know, why is this a conversation? Roadblock, who cares, you know? But I think it is a conversation, and I think it's something that can really help struggling players. It can help people that are in the early game, in the mid game. I don't think enough people really use manualing a fight versus doing auto battles, right? And I kind of wanted to break down areas that it's really good to do auto battles and areas where you might be better served to manual. And I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons of both of them. So I don't know, it may not be something that you've thought about in the past, but I think it needs to be broken down. I don't know that I've ever heard other content creators really talk about it and kind of break down when is it right to manual something and when is it something that you want to have, you know, to really build an auto team. So let's break it down, okay? First things first, just to kind of, you know, get everything at the base level. What am I talking about, right? So when you go in to do a fight of some kind in Raid Shadow Legends, you have a few different options, right? So obviously there's super raids, but then you have like multi-battles, or you can just hit start and have it run the fight automatically. So a better spot for me to do this would be Spider's Den because it's very quick, right? You can kind of see how fast my teams have gotten in the past. So this is a team that is tuned in a way that the damage and everything happens in a specific order. You know, this isn't a spider video, but I will go ahead and show you guys kind of how this team works, okay? So, listen up. I just got a new promo link that you can use to follow along with me on my latest free-to-play adventure and get a free Elenaril, as well as 3 more powerful epics as you level up. Here's how to do it. Log out of Plarium Play and uninstall. Click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Launch Raid and complete the tutorial. Go to your inbox and claim your first champ. Don't miss out on your chance to get Elenaril right after signing up, as well as Fayne, Uugo, and Tagoar as you progress through Raid. Click on my link right now and let's crush this together. We start by placing Hex on everybody, and then we attack the boss. Hex takes that damage, which is enemy max HP, and spreads it across all the spiders that had Hex, and they all die. Then we do further damage to the boss, and I got kind of lucky there with Acrizia and everybody kind of doing enough damage. But you get the idea, right? If that Acrizia didn't kill everybody, or didn't kill the boss there, Thor finishes that team by killing all the spiderlings. So it's a tuned team in that way. They go in a specific order. This is a situation where you really want auto every single time. And that makes sense because dungeons are something that you are running a lot of, right? You are constantly going to be running dungeons, and you want to make sure you're taking advantage of auto so that you're automatically running and finding success in those areas. Pretty obvious, I get that, but you always want to start and break everything down, because what is my saying on this channel, right? You don't know what you don't know. And so there are people out here that maybe don't really understand that. And there's more in depth that you can go with speed tuning and I say speed tuning, but really I mean tuning, because it doesn't need to be super fast. It just needs to make sure that A happens, then B happens, then C happens in that order every time. Speaking of stuff that needs to happen in order every time, that's where something like Demon Lord comes into play. But this is where Demon Lord, you want both. You kind of want to do both, right? So let's say that you're a new player, you're in the mid game, you're in the early game, you're trying to figure out your clan boss, right? Something I see so many players struggle with is getting so close to their goal, their damage goal, but not hitting it and not realizing that they probably could. So remember that in order to unlock quick battles in Demon Lord, you need to complete this with 1 key, right? If you can complete 70 million damage in 1 key, you can then auto battle it, instant battle it every single time moving forward. Something I see a lot of players do is have like 65 million, 60 million in damage here, but they're autoing it every single time, and they're not taking the time to manual that fight and probably squeeze out that extra damage. Okay, is 10 million damage difference between auto and manual? Maybe not, right? But you would be surprised at how much more you can do from a manual fight versus an auto fight. And that even goes for clan boss. And kind of why would that be? Well, let me just take a look here. So like this is my team, right? This is the team that I use for a clan boss. And I'll kind of go over, you know, this is not a clan boss video. I'm not trying to sell you guys on this team. I have a mythical, I have Wixwell, you know, like this is 2 mythicals, and this is just not exactly, you know, a free-to-play friendly team or anything like that, right? That's not what I'm trying to do here. But what I'm trying to talk about is that I have this team set up in a way that works really well on auto, but just the way that their system works in the game, there are benefits to me. Even with this team, as good as it is, I could still improve it by manualing the fight. And one major example is the fact that this is a buff extension fight. It's a buff extension team, sorry. If I really wanted to min-max my damage, I don't need 11 stacks of my shield buff, right? Like I can analyze and say, I'm below 5. Now I'll extend. Other than that, let me keep on using Mikage's A1, right? Because every time Mikage A1s, so does Ninja, right? Ninja joins that attack and Ninja hits hard. So I could optimize so much more damage, but in an auto setting, I have her being told, hey, every single time, do this extension. If it's off cooldown, do this buff extension. But when I'm getting 11, 15, 20 stacks of the shield set, that is a whole reason I'm extending, is to extend that shield set, starts to not make as much sense, right? And so I'm losing damage in that way. Does it matter for clan boss? Not in the slightest, right? Because when it comes to clan boss, I am well over the damage requirement of 70 million, right? I am well over that amount. So it doesn't really matter. I don't need to min-max something like this, but for those players who are trying to unlock that instant battle or who are trying to hit that 70 million, like there are people, and I did this for a little bit too, where I would manual my Ultra Nightmare key every day. I would take 15 minutes out of my day to, when I had a lot more free time, to manual this fight to ensure that I would get that 70 million on that 1 key. Or maybe I even manualed it to get a 2 key, right? And because I needed to hit at least a certain amount in order to beat that 70 million. So I had to min-max every little detail, and eventually you get kind of used to it. Okay, do I need to buff extend right now? No. Do I need to am I better off placing Ally Protect right now, or do I want a big shield, or do I want to heal, or is this a good time to do damage? Am I going to get another rotation for this guy to use his ability again before the clan boss takes a turn? So let me go ahead and get some damage in now and put that buff up fresh right before he hits, so that no one loses that buff in between, right? There's a lot of little things that go into this stuff, right? So to manual a fight, will optimize and maximize your damage. And something that I think is really important to consider when it comes to clan boss in particular, because instant battles is a thing, if you can manual just one time for that 70 million, even if that's inconsistent, even if you have a 2 key, like when you auto it, you just, for whatever reason, every time you auto it, you get 60 to 65 million, or we'll say 68 or something crazy, right? And it just never goes higher than 68. That's the highest you've ever gotten when you auto it. Well, you have a guaranteed 2 key at that point, right? Like, does it really matter at that point? Just go ahead and do your 2 keys every day and then collect your reward. So, but those 2 keys will now be boom, boom, right? They're instant. There's a little delay, but for the most part, they are going to be an instant battle for you. And that's extremely good for your account and for your time management, right? And so now we move on to the reasons that I made the video today, right? Hydra and Chimera. This is a tricky subject. Let's first start with Hydra. I've recently talked in a video that I am no longer under the mindset that I want to manual my Hydra fights. I did that for a very, very multiple years. I would manual my Nightmare key. And I'm actually probably going to do it one more time in the near future, whatever weekend that I get where I just have nothing going on and I can go ahead and knock a battle out over, 40 over an hour, because I really want to try it. I want to see what happens with Senna on the team, and I really want to optimize Krokhod's damage and see what kind of crazy numbers I can hit. So this 558 million is on auto. That was an instant battle. It went all the way up to 1,000 turns, and I actually scored higher than it on a previous test run as well. So that's not even my highest really possible score with this team, but that was a huge improvement for me, and I did it on auto. And so this is kind of the other side of things. Autoing for me right now is just, it's a more of a convenience thing. Am I getting the highest possible score? No, but if I was to just go out and try to get the highest possible score and that was my only focus, I would probably end up quitting the game, right? Because I'm taking too much time trying to min-max, and you're talking about an hour and a half of time running Hydra. Maybe I'm exaggerating. It feels like an hour and a half. I haven't done it in a while. Either way, it's a lot of time. And while sure, I can throw some content on this screen, which is what I used to do, throw a YouTube video up, run some Hydra, and just kind of nonchalantly pay attention to it, is all well and good when you're unemployed and your only income is your own YouTube channel. So, but on the flip side of that, when you have a job and you are trying to optimize your family time and you're trying to be busy at work and all those things, it can be hard to find that long of a time to do a fight. So this is something where I think, if min-maxing matters to you and you have the time, you should take it. But listen, that is a lot of time to commit. And if you don't have that kind of time, if you just aren't that invested, we talked about this yesterday, that's okay, right? And so, that's a situation where I think that I would auto, right? But there's always a but. That's when we're talking about 500 million damage, and we're talking about Hydra clash scores. What about the base rewards? Well, honestly, 36.6 million damage shouldn't be very, okay, I want to be clear about what I'm saying. If you are able to do Nightmare, probably going to be able to hit 36.6 million. And that sounds like a pretty large number, but with the way that champions work today and the gear that they have, if you're able to put together a team that checks all the boxes, so you have your provoke, you have your block buffs, maybe you've got a burner, you've got decreased defense, weaken, maybe you've got perfect veil, or you've got Shamael or something, right? Like if you have all of the pieces to a Hydra team and you are able to survive Nightmare, you should be able to do 36.6 million damage. Now I understand that that's there are people that are watching this channel that are like, but I can't. Hey, I get it. My free-to-play account could barely do brutal, okay? Like, it's not a guarantee. That's not what I'm saying. It is a challenge. Indeed. It just flat out is. Survival is kind of the crux of that 36.6. If you can survive many, many turns, inherently you're probably going to do 36.6 million because you're getting an opportunity to do damage across 4 enemies. And so, but you might need to manual that. So if your goal is to make sure that you're getting the max chest because you want the really good rewards, the really good gear sets out of here, then by all means, manual it. If you need to manual it to get that 36.6, that 40 million, that's great. And I'm good job. Keep doing that, right? I would continue to manual in that case because even though you unlock that auto battle, it probably would fail because Hydra is so freaking finicky, right? For example, I did 580 million in one test run and then 558 the next test run. That's a gap I don't want to say larger, but so 560 to 580. So that's a 20 million gap, right? That's almost a master chest worth of gap. So you really want to make sure that you're, if that's your primary goal is to just get enough damage to get those max rewards to improve your account, and Hydra Clash, you're either not concerned with it or you're not at that level where you need to be concerned with it. You're still kind of like winning every other clash or placing top 3 in every other clash, then yeah, I would continue manualing. And to get that amount, it's probably more like, 20, 30 minutes than a whole hour long, grind of optimization. So that's kind of my thoughts there. Now for Chimera is a little bit more interesting than Hydra in a way because of 3%. So I want to say it's 3%. I'm very tired. I had a long day. I had an appointment, a work event this evening. No, I did not wear my jersey. I came home and changed and had to watch the highlights of the hockey game. I was so sad. But we won. Either way, as I share my whole life story, thing about Chimera is that it's really hard sometimes to get everything to work perfectly because depending on what you're able to pull off and how you're pulling it off can very much impact the result. So, for example, when you go up against the Viper head, you really want Lydia to lock that Viper head out. So you need to make sure that going into the Viper fight that her A3 is off cooldown and she could just get resisted even though her accuracy is far above whatever is necessary to guarantee it, right? Because of 3%. And those times suck. I remember doing Ultra Nightmare, getting a 3%, didn't land my lockout, Viper wiped my team. Cool. Now I have to start all over again and do 25 turns just to get back to this one very moment and hope that her debuff actually lasts, right? And so it can be frustrating, but if you are struggling on Chimera, that really makes a difference for you. And so I highly recommend capitalizing on manual in order to get over that hump because the rewards are that important, right? You're talking about fragments for a mythical champion in Empress who is very, very good. You're talking about rewards that can drastically impact your account and give you the opportunity to get far better relics than what currently exists. And you're talking about Chimera Clash as well, trying to ensure that you are able to get, again, really, really good potential rewards to improve your account. So there's always going to be trade-offs. At the end of the day, if you don't want to manual anything and you want to auto everything, that's totally your choice. But if you are a different type of person and you're autoing and you're just like, yeah, I can't figure it out, and you hear somebody say, have you tried to do it on manual and make sure that everything works perfectly? And you go, hey, that's a good idea. Well, I'm trying to be that voice for you guys, right? So if you're not interested in doing it, totally fine. But if you are, give it a shot. try a manual fight on Chimera, try it on Hydra. If you need to, try it on Demon Lord, and just, see what you can do to get those teams maybe over a hump that you're dealing with because you just never even tried to just, optimize everything. Does that mean that you might get put into an infinite loop, or not infinite, but you might get put into a loop of repeatedly having to manual for a half an hour on Chimera every week? Yeah, I was in that for a long time, and then I got Senna. So hopefully it only lasts for a little bit and not forever like it felt like for me. But either way, I'm going to call this a video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. A little bit of an odd one, but I like making these ones, right? Raid is about all different shapes and sizes. There's so many different people and types of people that play this game. So I want to make sure that I'm making content for everybody, not just the end game, not just the early game, but everybody from all different versions, even that casual player who, only plays it for 10 minutes a day. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed my video, please consider subscribing. It is the best way to support my channel, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the next video. Take care.